Hey everybody, it is Dak here from the Ed Boys, and today we are rushing the Dizana's Quiver on League's 5 Raging Echoes. The Fortis Colosseum is one of the toughest challenges in old school RuneScape, with 12 increasingly difficult waves packed with monsters using all 3 attack styles. You have to choose a modifier before every wave that makes it more difficult, and then the final wave is Soul Heredit, whose combat level 1563. Raging Echoes is the 5th installment of the League's seasonal game mode on old school. If you don't know what League's is, you basically get to play RuneScape with superpowers. You start fresh in a League's world with boosted XP rates and boosted drop rates. There are also relics and combat masteries which allow for some insane boosts like automatic high alching, attacking at a faster pace, auto cooking and banking your fish, and many more things. So with these added powers, I'm going to see how quickly I can go complete the Colosseum challenge from scratch. My plan is to use the tier 6 range combat mastery, which makes it so that range hits never miss. That combined with the other 5 tiers of bonuses and my DPS with a Rune Crossbow is actually going to be better than if I was using a scythe and max melee gear on the main game. From there, I would just need some food and prayer potions and we could head to the Colosseum. The first big thing I gotta grind out is the tier 3 relic. The relics at that tier are your teleport options, which is really awesome, and we'll talk about that more in a bit. But the passive effect for that tier doubles your combat XP, as well as a bunch of nice boosts to Slayer gains. With our goal being combat based, I gotta get to that pretty quickly. So the first couple hours was just knocking out some simple tasks around Misthalin and Karamja. Once I hit the next relic, I did take Friendly Forager. The tier 2 relics this league are all pretty filthy, but for this goal here, I really need access to potions, specifically prayer potions, and this Forager's Pouch will passively harvest some grimy herbs for me while I am woodcutting, fishing, or mining, but mostly woodcutting since we are a lumberjack. Jagex did post the day 1 stats of League's 5, showing that lumberjack was actually the least picked tier 1 relic. I only picked it because I am going to need a fletching level as quickly as possible for the Rune Crossbow, but it is interesting to be one of the few that actually took lumberjack. When I think about it now, I probably wouldn't have if it weren't for just trying to get this quiver. During this first grind, I safe spotted a moss giant on this island on Karamja. It wasn't too packed for being like the first few hours of Leagues, which is not what I would expect if I did head to the hill giants in Edgeville Dungeon. I got my runes from Aubrey and Varrock, and then I got my fire staff from Zaf, also in Varrock, and I only had enough coins to afford that thanks to the Stronghold of Security. This easy safe spot got me my first combat mastery point, which is going directly into range. No matter which combat mastery you pick though, that first tier has a passive effect that'll save 95% of runes and ammunition when using magic and ranged, which is huge. I will need the range effect for the full build overall, but even early on, we're going to be safe spotting a few things with magic, so that is extremely helpful. And there it is, tier 3 unlocked, and we're getting a new area at the same time. Oh yeah, I can't take Clue Compass until we head over to the bank. For the first of my 3 area unlocks, I will be taking Varlamore, hopefully for obvious reasons. We're trying to complete the Fortis Colosseum, and the Colosseum is located in Varlamore. And now we have that Clue Compass as well. All 3 of the teleport options for the tier 3 relic are very solid. There's so many different teleport locations from the tier 3 ones, but the ability to teleport to my current clue step does sound like a lot of fun for future gains on this account. The passive effect for this tier is double combat XP on top of the ×8 overall XP that you would be getting from the tier 2 relic, as well as a few Slayer boosts. You get 5 times Slayer points, automatically unlock superior encounters, and those encounters are only a 1 in 50 as opposed to the normal 1 in 200. Now that I've unlocked Varlamore and we're getting 16 times combat XP, we can start training range and focusing on more combat masteries. When grinding out the tier 3 relic, I did purchase a Dorgishan crossbow and some bone bolts, and I did get 28 range from my cow Slayer task so that I could wield that crossbow. I started getting XP with Slayer tasks because there is a combat mastery to knock out a Slayer monster with 55 or higher Slayer requirements, so I am going to need these Slayer levels, but with pretty low DPS at the moment, I figured that I would try to go get a few more range levels and a couple more range combat masteries before I come back to Slayer. That way Slayer is just going to go a lot faster. That's when I made my way to the Blue Dragons in the Isle of Soul dungeon. I did bring magic with me since my range was still pretty low and it made for very slow kills with the bone crossbow. Magic overall is just a good skill for safe spotting monsters when you're a low level, even main game, like never mind League's bonuses on that one. Blue Dragons are also weak to water spells, so even Water Strike was doing pretty good on getting KC. The toughest part about this is that we're only like a few hours into Leagues, so the worlds were packed, dude. There was a lot of hopping and battling for, full worlds, but for the combat mastery point, I only needed 10 kills on a monster with over 100 combat. With a little bit of patience, it wasn't that hard to find an open dragon to KO, but also you gotta pay attention. What are you doing, dude? First death on the account. The baby blue dragons here are under 100 combat, but I did knock out a few of those and bury the bones as well to help with the early prayer levels. Once I achieved 30 prayer, I saved up my bones from there so I could turn them into blessed bone shards and get some great prayer XP at the libation bowl in Varlamore. You need some wine to bless for the libation bowl as well. I didn't need very many, so I just bought a couple at the bar here on Karamja. I took those wines, a chisel, and all 9 of my dragon and baby dragon bones to Ralos's Rise, the mountainous area of Varlamore. I blessed the bones and chiseled them into bone shards, then blessed the wines and took my talents up to the libation bowl for 43 prayer, so now I have all of my overheads, which is going to be very convenient to KO Scurious. Alright, I've got some decent food. Let's go ahead and try out that Scurious kill. Scurious the Rat King is fairly weak, and its attacks don't actually hit through prayer. The only unavoidable damage from in here will be like the little rats that he spawns, which can still hit 1 damage while you're protecting from melee. I have no prayer potions quite yet, so there's a lot of flicking going on, and then once I got to the point that Scurious begins healing and eating from his cheese piles, I barely kept up DPS-wise. I gained a few range levels just trying this kill out, but we're gonna need a couple prayer potions and a little bit better DPS to get this. So I knocked out 38 herblore with the herbs that I had gotten from Friendly Forager. I hadn't done a ton of AFK woodcutting yet, but I did some maple logs, which I will use for fletching gains in a bit. It was plenty of herbs to get to 38 herblore though. I finished a couple Slayer tasks with what we've got for now, including some hill giants, which did drop me a couple of extra law runes. I took those law runes to this house in the northeast part of Fortis, located in Varlamore, and I telegrabbed some snape grass. Now, the first time I saw this snape grass location, I just looked up on the OSRS wiki to find spots that I could get some snape grass. I saw there was a spawn in Varlamore, but I didn't realize that I was going to need to telegrab it. I only have a few law runes at the moment, but I saved 95% of the runes that I used with that first combat mastery passive effect, and since I took Friendly Forager, I also saved 90% of the secondary ingredients when I make potions, so I don't need a ton of snape grass overall, and I only need a few prayer potions for now. I bought me some range gear, which really won't matter once I get to the tier 6 range mastery, but for now I do need it, and then I went to this food shop in Brimhaven to get some swordfish. Now with better food, prayer potions, and a bit better DPS, we went back to Scurious, and it was a slow kill no doubt, but it was very worth it to get another combat mastery point. With 3 points in my range combat masteries, I have double accuracy, my minimum range hit is raised, consecutive range attacks have an increased max hit, and my bone crossbow is attacking 1 tick faster than it was, which is pretty big for DPS. Now, if we go back to Slayer, we're going to be getting a little bit better XP per hour. I was thriving off of these Pyre Fiend tasks, dude, mostly thanks to superior encounters. I was getting some very solid XP rates. The Pyre Lords are safe spawnable, but I really don't mind flicking my prayers and using some prayer pots since we do have them, though they are a bit limited at the moment. Once I knocked out 57 Slayer, I did head over to Duradel and bought myself some fungicide, and then went to Xanris and killed one of the mutated Zygomites, and this counted for another combat mastery point, which of course is just going directly into range. Our goal here is to get 6 points into the range combat masteries. I don't know if you figured that out yet. The next combat mastery we're going for is 100 combat, which is going to be the slowest one we're working on here. It's not going to be easy to get 100 combat using range levels unless I'm getting like 99 range, 99 defense, 99 hit points.
55 burgers, 55 fries, 55 tacos, 55 pies, 55...
I would get 100 combat if I instead went for like 80 attack, strength, and defense, which is a lot faster than going for any of those 99s. I took my talents over to Soul Wars, which in the past has been incredible for combat XP when you combine the boosted XP rates with the boosted minigame points that you get during leagues. Unfortunately, I was unaware that you can't use Soul Wars or Pest Control for combat XP during this league, but I did get a win on the first round, which is a league's task, and the points that I got from that round got me a few supply crates, which got me a good chunk of adamant bolts, so overall it was worth sending that one run. With Soul Wars being off the table for 100 combat, I had an easy choice to return to Scurious. My DPS option was still range at the moment, so I did use some long range to get a little bit of defense XP while grinding out a Scurious Spine. Once I got the Spine, I needed Historian Aldo to make a bone mace for me, and then I realized I didn't quite have 50 attack that I needed to wield it. So I went back to my Slayer tasks, the Pyre Fiends, to get some attack XP, and in the meantime, I did get to my 4th relic. Golden God already sounded like a lot of fun to me, and I can use it right now to get some quick prayer levels, which will help towards the 100 combat grind, so I went with Golden God. I finished up 50 attack and then started my stack of Rune plate skirts for the alking life. Basically, between trips at Scurious, I either went and purchased more Rune plate skirts, which Golden God would automatically be alking for me, or I went to an altar and used some of those coins on it and get a few extra prayer levels working towards that 100 combat. With a thick stack of cash, I did take a trip back to the food shop in Karamja to stack up on swordfish and Kanabwans. I also took a trip to these things. They're on the 3rd floor of the Stronghold of Security. I don't know how to say their name, and I'm not going to try.
Catablapon.
Catablapon?
Catablapon? That's a new one on me, that one.
Catablapon? No.
Catabapalapon.
I do know that they drop an Eye of Newt, which is pretty good for some attack potions. Super attack and super strength potions were good for a bit of a DPS boost, anything to lower the amount of time we need to get to that 100 combat. It was during this grind that I started running low on energy for day 1. I was hoping to get the Quiver by the end of the day 1 was like my big goal, and we're not super far off, but trying to stay up for a couple more hours at Skurius wasn't going to happen at this point, and then even if I did, I was going to be too tired to successfully do the Colosseum. Day 2 of Leagues happen to be on Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to those who celebrate, and everybody else, happy Day 2 of Leagues. I managed to sneak in some mobile woodcutting during the day, which got me a lot more Ronars, so I didn't have to be so intense with prayer flicking. After that, we went back to some Skurius and a little bit of prayer training, and not that much later, we knocked out 100 combat. This does put me at 5 out of 6 on the range masteries, and the only thing that we need to knock out to finish that range mastery is a Jad run. My crossbow is firing at a 2-tick pace. I have double accuracy. Every 5th hit with range heals me. When I restore my health or my prayer, I get a little bit of extra restored, and my damage taken is currently reduced. So even though I only have a Dorishan crossbow, this shouldn't be that much of a problem. And it wasn't. I absolutely shredded the NPCs during the caves and had plenty of supplies going into the Jad fight. I've killed Jad hundreds of times at this point in old school RuneScape, but it still makes me nervous every time, dude. You don't mess around with Jad. Fire Cape achieved, and the 6th combat mastery point, which is going directly into range. I needed one more thing to send ourselves over to the Colosseum. That would be a Rune crossbow. I've knocked out the fletching gains, so we just need some Runite limbs. Now that I never miss with range, we can go crank on some Iron Dragons even with this bone crossbow, or the Dorishan crossbow, rather. The drop rate's around a 1 in 26 for the Rune limbs from an Iron Dragon. It took me like 50 kills to get the drop, but I was killing them so quickly that I really wasn't even that bothered going nearly twice the drop rate. I did go to the rune shop in Varrock to buy some Chaos Runes from Aubrey and then go sell them at the rune shop in the Tsar area to get some Tokel. And then I used that to buy some gems from the gem shop in the Tsar area that you need a Fire Cape to get into, including some rubies to get some ruby bolt tips and make some ruby bolts. I did plan on camping broad bolts up to Soul Heredit. The Soul Heredit has a lot of health, so ruby bolts can be pretty helpful too. And here we are, level 6 range combat mastery, a rune crossbow, and a dream. Shout out to Veritas for reminding me to set up the prediction for the chat to guess if I was going to complete the Colosseum on my first run or not. I gotta say, if I was allowed to vote in this, I would have been a non-believer. I have been running Colosseum in the main game a lot lately, but I'm still not insanely consistent, so I was a little nervous going in. Then when this Wave 3 happened, I was certain we were not going to get the kill on this run. Oops, just stepped back into that one, didn't you, bud? Please turn off your auto-retaliate. Oh my god, they're both same tick. Gonna die in the first attempt, boys. All non-believers bite Dak. Oh, I literally just died. This is not going well. You guys that are believers are out of your minds. Wave 6 coming in hot. There's a mask. Wave 6 through 11 had many chances to give me some bad spawns, which I am used to. Again, I've been grinding Colosseum a lot lately, so I felt pretty prepared, but luckily the Colosseum sent a no-problem spawn at me pretty much every time. Wave 7 had no south side spawns, and the toughest part of that stack was just these two guys here, so really not that bad. Wave 8 was just a Manticore on the south side spawn. It's a little bit easier if that spawn is just a single Ranger or a single Major, but it's still not a problem to KO the Fremenic Warbands, then kill the Manticore from a spot that's going to be safe from the incoming Minotaur. Wave 9 was just a Manticore on the south side again, starting with the same solution as the previous wave, and then the simple stack on the other side to deal with, pretty much free. That was weird. So I'm getting an Echo Crystal, but look at it, fellas. You know, you just get the full thing because of leagues. I was like, I've never seen that before. I'm like, yeah, because those are full fucking Echo boots. Yo, I already have a mask this run. Look, bro, it looks so weird with just the full boots. I was like, what the fuck, dude? The Jordans? We ain't getting the Jordans unless we kill Soul Heredit. Wave 10 with Echo Boots on the line, and we got a single Manticore on the south side again. I managed to KO the Manticore before reinforcements came over, but the Minotaur was also up front, so I was going to be safe either way. And then the stack afterwards was solvable as always, but I did send it to the other pillar so that I wouldn't have to flick the Manticore and the Ranger like the entire time that I was killing the two of them. On wave 11, we just got the Shockwave Colossus on the south side, which is like the best possible option. I can camp Protect Magic while KOing the Fremenic Warband, then KO the Shockwave Colossus while waiting for reinforcements. I knock out the Shockwave before they spawn, but even if my DPS was low, I'm already on Protect Magic, so I know that I'm going to be safe from those reinforcements no matter what order they spawned in. So in a way, it kind of was a free wave 11 as well. Somehow for this run, on the way to Soul Heredit, the most trouble I had was wave 3. Next up, we have the final wave, wave 12. There's a unique on the next wave too. Master Combat Task completed. Jesus Christ, bro. Holy shit. They're fucking with me on this one. Whew. Shit, dude. Volatility 2. Larger radius. I'm gonna forget about this already anyways, but I don't want to do Doom 3 or Bees. Range Soul Heredit is a little bit different than melee since I don't automatically run back to Soul Heredit when I try to attack him, so I do have to step back in, but honestly it wasn't really that bad to get used to. I didn't necessarily have a clean Soul Heredit kill. It turns out I never even swapped over to the Ruby Bolts if you check that out. The Soul Heredit fight is really sick, but you do really have to lock in. I mean, just look at the focus on that guy. No, I'm clicking on him. My anus! Are you fucking kidding me right now, Mr. Krabs? So you guys are clenching too, right? First try, boys! Holy shit! So you guys were clenching too, right? What the fuck was that at the end, bro? That fucking range level stopped me from stepping back. Did you see that? I was like, hey man, quit that. That would have been hilarious for the video though, if that's actually what stopped me. And I had to go again, it would have been worth. Otherwise though, we got the Varlamore Echo Orb, what the fuck? First try, let's go. Yes, voters unite! Oh my god, fellas, that was fucking awesome. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. That was one of the better accomplishments I've had right there, was getting a quiver on League's life in, I mean, it hasn't been less than 24 hours, but it was less than 24 hours worth of gameplay, so count it. Fuck yeah, dude. Holy shit. Oh my god. And a bunch of fucking items in there too. And there it is, me boyos. Dizana's Quiver achieved on League's life. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more content, and follow me on Twitch to catch it live. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.